Bang! The black palm burst apart in front of everyone's eyes and turned into nothing. How is this possible? Shock surged from Hun Yu's heart when he saw Xiao Yan randomly scatter his soul destruction palm. He looked at the figure in front of him in disbelief. He was well aware of the strength of the soul destruction palm. An ordinary 9-change Peak Do Zun expert would not be able to receive it, much less head-on, because the palm contained a dark, chilling energy that eroded one's soul. Yet his powerful palm was insignificant to Xiao Yan. Do the members of the Hun clan only possess such tricks? Xiao Yan's figure walked through the air. He looked down at Hun Yu, who wore an ugly expression, and laughed. Xiao Yan, you should not be too arrogant. Hun Yu's expression was a dangerous dark as he stared at Xiao Yan. His heart was filled with dissatisfaction. He clearly understood that Xiao Yan would not have been a match for him if Xiao Yan had not trained for 1 month within the Bodhisattva ancient tree, but none of the many possible situations that could have occurred were reality. Ha ha! Xiao Yan smiled when he heard Hun Yu's dark and chilly cry. Xiao Yan's hand was suddenly swung, and a large cluster of hot flames erupted from his sleeve. After which, the flames formed a 1,000-foot-large fire hand that grabbed at Hun Yu with lightning-like speed. Hun Yu clenched his teeth in dissatisfaction when he saw Xiao Yan attack. Black fog surged from his body before turning into many ferocious black fog beasts. They wildly cried out as they pounced toward the large fire hand. Bang bang! The large fire hand slammed toward these black beasts. When the ferocious black fog beasts collided with hand, they were all blasted into smoke in an instant, after which they were vaporized by the frighteningly high temperature. How stubborn! Xiao Yan faintly smiled upon seeing this outcome. He waved his sleeve and the large fire hand suddenly flashed. It was above Hun Yu's head when it next appeared before it was ruthlessly slammed down. Bang! The large fire hand smashed into Hun Yu's body since he could not dodge it. The black fog that lingered over his body scattered as a hot and powerful wind poured into it through all his pores. Grug! The Do Chi within Hun Yu's body did not have time to form a defense against this extremely hot and wild wind. As his body was being forcefully torn apart by that unusual heat, more wind entered it like poisonous snakes. His expression paled as a mouthful of bright red fresh blood was spat out. His body also shot backwards and landed on the ground. Hiss! The group of neutral experts in the distance gently inhaled a breath of cool air as they watched Xiao Yan severely injure Hun Yu with just a palm strike. Their hearts rejoiced since they had not greedily intervened earlier. Otherwise, they would have been left even more miserable than Hun Yu. After sending Hun Yu flying with a palm, Xiao Yan glanced at the chaotic battleground a short distance away. He let out a cold laugh as his hand launched toward the battle. A couple of punches were thrown into the air and a frightening wind penetrated empty space before smashing into the bodies of a couple of Hun clans and Heaven Demon Phoenix tribes experts. A powerful strength caused those people to spit out blood and fly back. This unexpected change caused Jiu Feng's group to start. They hurriedly shifted their eyes and saw Hun Yu lying on the ground with an unknown fate. Their expressions underwent a drastic change. Hun Yu has actually been finished off this quickly? A monstrous wave of turmoil rose within Jiu Feng's heart. Even he was unable to defeat Hun Yu within such a short period of time. Yet Hun Yu appeared like a dead dog within less than 10 minutes in Xiao Yan's hands. Are you planning to fight personally? Xiao Yan's eyes shot toward Jiu Feng. His faint voice caused Jiu Feng's hand to tremble. Jiu Feng's face was volatile, but he ultimately did not say anything. Hun Yu was defeated so miserably, even less needed to be said of him. The situation today is hopeless. This brat has already become very strong. Only those grand elders within the tribe can finish him off. Jiu Feng's eyes flickered. Finally, he swallowed the fury and murderous intent within his heart. Revealing any intention to kill at this moment would only result in a fate similar to Hun Yu. Xiao Yan glanced at Hun Yu in the distance, who was struggling to climb to his feet. After suppressing everyone with his words, a murderous desire surged within his heart. He and the Hun clan were enemies who would not rest until the other party died. This Hun Yu was one of the most outstanding individuals among the younger generation of the Hun clan. If he could kill him, even the Hun clan would feel some pain. Since this was the case, he could not let the people from the Hun clan off no matter what. Rustle. While Xiao Yan had made up his mind to retain Hun Yu's group in this place forever, the Bodhisattva ancient tree, which had been standing quietly in the middle of this space, suddenly emitted a rustling sound before wave after wave of ripples began to appear. Is this realm about to collapse? Xiao Yan was startled after seeing these ripples form. He immediately knit his brows. The Bodhisattva ancient tree would not continue to exist in the world forever. After it had spat out its Bodhisattva seeds, it would once again sink into the land and rest. It would only break out of the land after gathering its energy, but no one knew when that would be. The unusual change caused everyone to panic. The battlegrounds also quickly scattered as the Hun clan members quickly lifted Hun Yu up, after which they clustered together with the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe. Their eyes were cautious as they glanced between Xiao Yan and the surrounding space. "Brother Hun Yu, are you all right?" Jiufeng glanced at the pale-looking Hun Yu and softly inquired. Hun Yu wiped off the trace of blood from the corner of his mouth. He slowly shook his head as his eyes ruthlessly glared at Xiao Yan. A moment later, his lips trembled. Jiufeng's body stiffened before he clenched his teeth and nodded his head. Rustle. The spatial fluctuation became more intense as everyone pulled back. Suddenly, a crack line appeared and a glaring light pillar shot out from it. Crack. After the first crack appeared, an increasing number of spatial slices continued to surface. Within a short few minutes, the extremely solid space had gained thousands of holes. Finally, it exploded in front of everyone's panicked eyes. The deepest part of the ancient wasteland region, an enormous Bodhisattva ancient tree stood alone within this grassland. Majestic and refreshing air continued to spread from it in all directions, revealing a spectacular scene. A couple of figures sat a short distance away from the Bodhisattva ancient tree. They were Nailan Yinran and the rest who had been left behind. There were also some other experts who had charged through the beast tide. Everyone present had fully healed from their injuries, but they were unwilling to simply leave. Hence, they continued to stand guard. Rustle. A rustling sound suddenly appeared within the quiet grassy plains. The Bodhisattva ancient tree in the middle of the field had not moved for a month, but all of a sudden, it began to unleash a glaring emerald light. Soon after, many miserable figures escaped this light and landed on the surrounding ground. Teacher, this sudden scene caused everyone to be startled. A wild joy rose as Nailan Yinran's group hurriedly stood up. Their eyes were happily looking at a figure a short distance away. We have finally exited. Gu Qingyang's group inhaled a deep breath of the fresh grassland air. They felt an elation from having survived a calamity. How could an outsider imagine the kind of danger they had experienced during this short 1 month? That frightening illusion would still remain in their minds after a long time. Xiao Yan gently exhaled. His transformation had been the greatest during this 1 month. While it had only been a month in the eyes of others, he had experienced 100 reincarnations. The reincarnation training might not have allowed his strength to truly soar, but it had unknowingly left behind something that could influence. Rustle. The Bodhisattva ancient tree began to tremble after the last person was tossed out. A circular light was unleashed from beneath the Bodhisattva ancient tree. The ground seemed to turn into liquid because of this light, and the Bodhisattva ancient tree slowly entered the earth through this liquid. The expressions of many people changed upon seeing the Bodhisattva ancient tree enter the ground. Their hearts were filled with dissatisfaction. Even an elite dosheng would not be able to find the Bodhisattva ancient tree once it went underground. In other words, the next time one could see the Bodhisattva ancient tree would be when it appeared in the world again. Perhaps thousands of years would already have passed by then. Ugh, unfortunately, we did not find the Bodhisattva heart. Gu Qingyang softly sighed and lamented somewhat regretfully as he watched the Bodhisattva ancient tree slowly sink into the ground. Xiao Yan, who had heard these words, sort of smiled. His hand gently rubbed the spot of his chest where a pounding, emerald-like, crystal-clear heart now resided. This was the legendary Bodhisattva heart, but Xiao Yan had yet to refine it. Once he truly refined it, he would be able to step into the dosheng class. Brother Bodhisattva, thank you very much. Hopefully, we will be able to meet again in the future. Xiao Yan softly muttered as watched the Bodhisattva ancient tree sink deeper underground. His heart felt some regret. This Bodhisattva ancient tree did not possess a true intelligence. Otherwise, it would have been a genuine expert within the Do-Chi continent. If he could have befriended it, the aid it would have provided would have been incredible. Bang! The Bodhisattva ancient tree finally sank into ground in front of many pairs of eyes. After the final trace of emerald light disappeared, these grassy plains once again became empty. Xiao Yan softly sighed in his heart as he watched the Bodhisattva ancient tree completely disappear. He was just about to speak when his expression suddenly changed. The space around him had suddenly become extremely distorted. It was like a prison had sealed them. The intense distortion of space sealed this entire area. Any spatial fluctuation was unable to seep out of it. Xiao Yan's expression was dark and cold as he turned his head. He looked in the direction of the origin of this spatial fluctuation and saw an enormous heaven phoenix illusory figure roaming the sky behind Jiufeng. The entire sky was enshrouded by this illusory heaven phoenix. The spatial ripple from before had come from its body. Looks like the next tribe head of the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe is going to be someone else. Jiufeng's heart trembled when he saw Xiao Yan's dark and dense gaze sweep over. Jiufeng immediately cried out in a deep voice, "Hun Yu, why aren't you acting?" A cold smile surfaced on Hun Yu's face when he heard Jiufeng's cry. He clenched his hand and a scroll appeared in his palm. Subsequently, he shattered it. An intense spatial fluctuation swept out of the scroll after it was shattered. This spatial force was transferred to Jiufeng's body. Agglomerate. Jiufeng's hand suddenly slid across the empty space in front of him after he took on this intense spatial force. A spatial tear spread before it formed a black hole in that space. A monstrous aura swept apart like a storm from that spot. Everyone present revealed a sudden change in their expression upon sensing the monstrous aura that spread apart. They exclaimed, "An elite Bansheng?" Xiao Yan's expression was solemn. These damn people had yet to give up. They were planning on summoning the experts from their clan over. We must not allow them to succeed. A cold glint flickered within Xiao Yan's eyes. He waved his hand and a flame surged out of his sleeve. It turned into a ferocious fire beast that rushed toward the spatial crack with lightning-like speed. Chi! The fire beast appeared in front of the spatial tear while emitting a high temperature, but before it could explode, a dense white bone-like hand was suddenly extended from the spatial crack. It grabbed the flame and a black fog surged. The flame was eroded into nothing. Cough, cough, Hun Yu. It is unexpected that even you cannot finish off the brat from the Xiao clan. A coughing elderly voice was slowly emitted from the spatial crack after the white shriveled hand had extended out. After which, a grayish-white clothed old man slowly stepped out of the crack and appeared in front of everyone's eyes. This elder's figure was extremely crooked. His hand held a skeleton walking stick. Both of his eyes were deep as a serene green glow were emitted from the both of them. He gave one an extremely sinister and strange feeling. An accident occurred. Otherwise, I would not have used this spatial scroll. Hun Yu frowned after hearing the old man's words. After which, he looked at Xiao Yan and said, he trained for a month beneath the Bodhisattva ancient tree, and his strength has soared to the 9th stage of the peak Do Zun class. Moreover, he still has some Bodhisattva seeds in his hand. Elder Gu Yu must intervene in order to retain him. Oh! That old man called Elder Gu Yu was slightly startled upon hearing this. His eyes, which contained a green glow, landed on Xiao Yan. A strange smile surfaced on his shriveled face. It is unexpected that this brat has come across such luck. Xiao Yan frowned when faced with Gu Yu's observing eyes. He slowly exhaled. It seemed that he was finally going to fight a genuine Ban Shang today. These bastards have summoned an expert from their clan. Gu Hua furiously cried when he saw who had arrived. Gu Qingyang's expression was also relatively gloomy. He clenched his hand and a scroll appeared in it. Finally, he shattered it, but he was stunned to find that no spatial fluctuations had appeared despite having shattered the spatial scroll. It's pointless. The space here has already been sealed by the Heaven Phoenix illusory figure summoned by Jiufeng. Without his permission, spatial fluctuations cannot be transmitted out. Sun Er slowly shook her head and softly remarked, there is also some members of the younger generation from the Gu clan. Gu Yu's eyes slid away from Xiao Yan. He looked at Sun Er's group and laughed. Elder Gu Yu, don't waste time with them. The situation might change if things are delayed. We should first capture Xiao Yan. Hun Yu spoke in a deep voice. It is not easy for these old bones of mine to come out here. You should stop pressing me. Gu Yu involuntarily shook his head when he heard Hun Yu's urging. Although he spoke like this, he lifted the walking stick in his hand and slowly stepped through the air. A couple of after-images materialized as he appeared a short distance from Xiao Yan. That skeleton-like face revealed an extremely ferocious smile as he said, it is unexpected that the Xiao clan can produce someone like you after having exhausted its bloodline. How unexpected. Quite a number of experts from our Hun clan have died in your hands. Your name is quite well known around our Hun clan. Xiao Yan was without expression. He could sense an enormous pressure emanating from Gu Yu. Xiao Yan might be at the 9th change at the peak of the Do Zun class, but he was not a true Ban Shang. He was lacking when compared to this Ban Shang Gu Yu. The old me is known as Gu Yu. Of course, you can also address me as Second Tianzuan. Perhaps you might be a little more familiar with the title that I have held for some time. Though, since I have advanced to the Ban Shang class, I prefer others call me Saint Gu Yu. Gu Yu spoke in a hoarse voice. Second Tianzuan. Xiao Yan's eyelids twitched. This old fellow was actually the second Tianzuan of the Hall of Souls. It was really the case of those at the front being the strongest when it came to these so-called Tianzans. He wondered just how strong the first Tianzuan was. Perhaps he was a true elite Ban Shang. If this was the case, calling him first Tiansheng would perhaps be more appropriate. Xiao Yan's heart involuntarily sank when he thought about the first Tianzuan. The strength of this Hun clan was indeed extremely great and unfathomable. If one did not possess the strength of a Do Shang, it would be difficult to protect oneself while fighting with them. Once this matter is over, I will immediately refine the Bodhisattva heart. Only by advancing to the Ban Shang class will I not need to be afraid of the Hall of Souls. Xiao Yan clenched his fist. Ever since he had been a doja back then, he had been utilizing the laziness of the Hall of Souls in order to raise his strength. Only after he had raised his strength would he be able to survive clashing against the stronger experts the Hall of Souls dispatched. It was now time for him to take the initiative. All right, the introduction is over. Ugh, it has been a long time since I have spoken so much. Young fellow from the Xiao clan, are you going to return with me to the Hun clan, or shall we fight? Gu Yu softly coughed and asked a question as his green eyes bore down on Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's expression was icy cold. His body shook and a pair of green-red bone wings spread behind him. The eyes of the members from the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe twitched when they saw these bone wings appear. They could sense a familiar feeling from them. Sun Er, can you block him for a while? Xiao Yan turned his head and asked Sun Er a question in a deep voice. Aye. Sun Er slowly nodded. Her lovely body moved as she appeared in front of Xiao Yan. A colorful clan tattoo quickly appeared on her smooth forehead. At the same time, Sun Er's aura abruptly surged as a golden flame filled both of her eyes. Be careful, Xiao Yan softly cried out, after which his body pulled back. He waved his hand and 5 clusters of flames appeared in front of him. It seemed that Xiao Yan understood that he needed to unleash his strongest attack if he wished to truly defeat this Gu Yu. Are you going to merge heavenly flames again? Gu Yu's shriveled face unnoticeably twitched when he saw Xiao Yan pull back. He had heard about Xiao Yan's ability to merge heavenly flames from some members of the Hun clan. It was precisely because of this merger that those experts from the Hun clan had ended up returning in failure. This elderly self is really curious to learn whether or not the strength of this heavenly flame merger of yours is really as frightening as the rumors say. This Gu Yu was a skilled and bold person. His Banshang class strength gave him enough capital to look down on everyone present. Even a Tian class Do skill would have difficulty turning the tide because of this indescribable gap. However, Gu Yu would never have expected those Hun clan experts who had fought Xiao Yan back then had also adopted such a mentality. Gu clan's Sun Er, the owner of a divine bloodline and is rumored to be the person with the most perfect bloodline in the Gu clan. Gu Yu's eyes looked at Sun Er a short distance away. A shriveled smile appeared on his face as he said, "Your potential is quite good, but you are currently no match for me." Gu Yu's last sentence had just sounded when his body strangely disappeared. Sun Er's expression changed upon seeing him move. Her lovely body suddenly pulled back as her palm, which was surrounded by a golden flame, ruthlessly slammed toward a spot in the air. Her palm was accompanied by a frightening temperature. The space distorted when her palm shot out, and a crooked, elderly figure appeared. This figure belonged to Saint Gu Yu. Your senses are quite good. No wonder you are the clan member with the greatest potential in the Gu clan. Saint Gu Yu laughed strangely after being forced to appear by Sun Er. His hand was like a poisonous snake as it strangely rotated, after which it collided with Sun Er's palm like lightning. Bang! A frightening wind, which was accompanied by some heat, swept over the sky. Saint Gu Yu's body did not move, but Sun Er emitted a muffled groan. Her feet staggered back. Sun Er quickly stabilized her body after taking a final step. Her hands were placed together. They appeared like a blooming lotus as they formed many complicated seals. A bright golden flame erupted from Sun Er's body in all directions as these seals changed. The entire sky seemed to have suddenly been ignited as this golden flame appeared. Looking at the bright flame that had suddenly erupted from Sun Er, a surprised expression also flashed across Gu Yu's face. His voice reverberated over the sky. Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly flame, the Gu clan's inherited flame that is ranked 4th on the heavenly flame ranking. It is unexpected that a little girl like you is able to subdue it. A golden flame lingered above the ground. It appeared to have ignited the sky at this moment. The Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly flame was ranked 4th on the heavenly flame ranking. It was only inferior to the purifying demonic lotus flame. Although this heavenly flame was not as mysterious as the purifying demon lotus flame, it was renowned during the ancient times. Moreover, this kind of heavenly flame was an inheritance of the Gu clan, but seldom anyone could subdue it. Hence, Saint Gu Yu's heart was a little shaken when he recognized this flame. It is indeed the Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly flame. Xiao Yan sensed an intense fire fluctuation from the distant sky. His heart shook. He had already guessed this a long time ago, but Sun Er seldomly unleashed the Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly flame. Hence, he had never confirmed his guess. It is indeed worthy of the Gu clan to be in possession of a mysterious inheritance like this heavenly flame. Xiao Yan sighed in envy within his heart. The Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly flame was ranked high on the heavenly flame ranking. This naturally proved its great strength. If one were to talk about its ferocity, even Xiao Yan's newly born heavenly flame, made from the merger of 4 heavenly flames, might not be better than this Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly flame. After all, the heavenly flames that were ranked near the top of the heavenly flame ranking were unbelievably terrifying. An example was the top 3 heavenly flames. Saying that they possessed the strength to destroy the world was not an exaggeration. A great disaster had befallen the world in ancient times any time a top heavenly flame erupted. Xiao Yan swiftly focused his mind as this thought lingered within his heart. For clusters of heavenly flames swiftly merged together A, B, C, as waves of violent destructive fluctuations quietly spread. It is rumored that the Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly flame can burn Do Qi. Its ferocity is well known. Today, this elderly self shall take a look to see if it is as the rumors describe. Gu Yu stepped through the air. His green eyes stared at Sun Er, who was some distance away, as he spoke in a hoarse voice. Black fog suddenly surged from the skeleton walking stick in his hand after his final words sounded. In the blink of an eye, this black fog permeated the sky. An extremely dark and cold energy hid in this black fog. Hence, it did not scatter despite the high temperature in the sky. Instead, the fog quickly agglomerated into an enormous black skeleton under Gu Yu's control. This black skeleton was 10,000 feet tall. It stood in the sky like a divine skeleton of evil. A dense black fog churned out of its body as a chilly pressure swept out. It caused most of the people present to feel as though their very soul was in a chilly pond. The atmosphere was exceptionally gloomy and cold. Darkness Skeleton King. He has summoned this thing the moment he started fighting. It seems that Elder Gu Yu is quite afraid of the so-called Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly flame. Hun Yu pondered some thoughts as he observed the enormous black skeleton in the sky. This black skeleton was a rare Tian-class low-grade Do skill. One would be able to use one's Do Qi and the surrounding energy to form a Skeleton King after mastering it. This Skeleton King was as hard as metal and was immune to fire and water. Moreover, each and every part of its body contained an extremely dark and cold energy. If an ordinary expert were to be struck by this darkness, that expert's body might look fine, but their soul would be eroded. Hence, this thing could be considered quite sinister and vicious. With Gu Yu's current Ban Sheng strength, the black skeleton that he had summoned after unleashing this Do skill with all his strength was frighteningly powerful. Even some experts who had reached the Ban Sheng class had to be cautious when facing this big thing. Thus, one could tell how troublesome the Black Skeleton King was. Go! Gu Yu pointed the skeleton walking stick at Sun Er from afar after summoning the enormous black skeleton. 2 clusters of green light immediately appeared. He took a step across the sky and appeared a short distance in front of Sun Er. The skeleton's palm, which was covered with a dark black fog, easily tore through space and ruthlessly slammed towards Sun Er's head. Sun Er did not dare to slight the skeleton's ferocious and shockingly powerful attack. Her lovely figure swiftly pulled back. At the same time, 100-foot-large golden flame cluster suddenly surged out of her body. It ruthlessly collided with the black skeleton's hand. Sizzle, sizzle. A sharp sizzling sound erupted when the two collided. An extreme cold and an extreme heat intertwined with each other. A nauseating white fog rose and spread. Bang! Gu Yu's shriveled hand was clenched as he stood far away. That enormous skeleton's hand was also clenched. One could hear a crack sound as the golden flame was shattered. Sun Er bunched her eyebrows together after her retaliation attack was easily destroyed. An elite Banshang was indeed very powerful. Even though she possessed the aid of the Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly flame, she was only able to protect herself. Fortunately, Sun Er's task was not to defeat Gu Yu. Instead, her aim was to delay him. Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly formation. Sun Er's delicate body swiftly pulled back. Her hand formed many mysterious seals. After her cool cry sounded, the golden flame that lingered in the sky suddenly began to wiggle. A dozen-plus golden fire pillars shot down from the sky. The fire pillars spread and merged with each other. It appeared like fishing net made of fire that connected the sky and the land, trapping the enormous black skeleton in the process. Bang! The black skeleton's fist, which contained a dark and chilly fog, ruthlessly slammed into the fire curtain. An earth-shaking sound appeared as many ripples formed on the fire curtain. Refined. Sun Er's face was grave. The seal formed by her hand changed as countless golden fire pillars shot out of the formation. They struck the surrounding fire curtain before being reflected. Finally, all of them shot into the enormous skeleton close together. These fire pillars had become even more glaring after being reflected by the fire curtain. The frightening temperature within them caused the air inside of the great formation to ignite. A glaring golden flame fiercely and wildly burned the enormous black skeleton. What a frightening flame! The expressions of most people present changed as they looked at the golden flame that seemed to have spread across every corner of the great formation. Even with the isolation of the large formation, they were still able to sense just how terrifying the temperature was within it. Even an expert at the 9th change peak of the Dozun class would not be able to endure for more than a minute inside. After all, the Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly flame was a frightening heavenly flame said to be able to burn even Do Qi. Roar! The black fog around the enormous black skeleton quickly disappeared because of these wildly incinerating golden flames. Some of the bones had even become blurry at this moment. Regardless of how strong Gu Yu was, it was impossible for him to completely ignore the frightening Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly flame. It is indeed worthy of being the Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly flame. Gu Yu knit his brows when he saw the black skeleton struggling within the fire formation. If Sun Er did not possess the Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly flame, she would not have been able to force the darkness skeleton into such a state regardless of the Do Qi she used. Unfortunately, although the heavenly flame is powerful, you are unable to unleash its full potential with your strength. It was rumored that the first owner of this legendary Gold Emperor incinerating heavenly flame could burn the realm created by an elite Do Shang into nothing with this flame. Gu Yu's eyes flickered as his shriveled hands formed a strange seal. At the same time, a strange sound was emitted from his mouth. Roar! The large black skeleton in the sea of golden flames suddenly shook after Gu Yu's cry sounded. Wave after wave of black fog surged out of its body in all directions. Miserable screeches echoed across the sky. If one were to look carefully, one would discover that the black fog was being formed by an unimaginable number of souls. Bang, bang, bang. Countless numbers of souls gushed out. They suddenly exploded upon contact with the golden flame. The force from the self-detonation of such a large number of souls caused even the golden sea of fire to blast apart. The moment this occurred, the body of the black skeleton suddenly shrank. In the blink of an eye, it had transformed from 10,000 feet tall to 100 feet tall. Although its body had shrunk, the skeleton had grown even darker. A frighteningly dark and chilly energy slowly spread from the skeleton's body. Tithaiske, just watch as I tear apart this fire formation of yours. The skeleton slowly lifted its head. Its jaw moved as it emitted a strange laugh. That laugh was the voice of Gu Yu. This old man had managed to merge his soul with the skeleton. Sun Er's expression was slightly altered after she heard these words. Her pretty eyes slid to where Gu Yu was located earlier. An elderly figure was standing at that spot, but both of the elderly figure's eyes appeared vacant. Clearly, the figure was only an empty shell. The words of the black skeleton had just sounded when it flashed and appeared at the edge of the fire formation. Its palm, which contained a rich black light, gently cut across the fire curtain. A crack line slowly appeared. The relaxed cut clearly indicated that the black skeleton did not meet even the slightest obstruction. Boom! The fire formation seemed to have been destroyed after this tear appeared. It let out a boom and exploded in front of many pairs of eyes. Little girl, if you had advanced to the Banshan class, it would be difficult to determine just who would win today. Unfortunately, the black skeleton's green eyes stared at Sun Er while a hoarse voice was slowly emitted. The corner of Sun Er's mouth was lifted despite hearing this. She softly said, "My intentions were not to defeat you. I have already completed my task." Sun Er's delicate figure quickly withdrew after she spoke. She appeared behind Xiao Yan in a flash. At this moment, there was an exquisite, artistic-looking fire lotus slowly rotating in his palm. An annihilation aura slowly spread, causing the surrounding space to distort. A hoarse voice was slowly emitted from the black skeleton as it looked at the fire lotus in Xiao Yan's hand. "Is this the thing that you create after merging heavenly flames? I have given you so much time. Hopefully, you will not disappoint me." Fallen heart flame, bone-chilling flame, 10,000 burning flame. Not sure if the fifth was some other flame he added in before.